the Arkansas Razorbacks and the Texas Longhorns as Arkansas sweeps Hook 'em. Texas fans, come here real quick. Now you've been initiated into the SEC. You've been on the road. You've been humbled. Now you're initiated into the conference. Again, Texas falling in all 3 games. The Hogs pitching was dominant. Harrison, we felt like, maybe not you specifically, but a lot of us felt like it was a matter of when, not if, that Texas was going to run into some sort of roadblock like this. And I'll go ahead and get out ahead of this too, because I think a lot of Texas fans, obviously over the weekend, very disgruntled, very displeased with the way their team played. We'll get in the specifics of the series here in a moment. But I'm here to tell you this, Harrison. Texas fans, you're going to be okay. It's all right. Like, you would rather this show itself now and this happen now than in 2 or 3 weeks when a bad weekend like this would end your season. So it's never good to get swept, but I think at least there's some positives like, hey, we knew at some point, like even Kyle Peterson on the broadcast, which we love, KP, friend of the show. I mean, he even said it, because some people called me crazy and others crazy for insinuating this Texas team could lose or they could get cold or whatever. And I think they just ran into a great Arkansas team, which we'll talk about more in a second. But even KP said, the law of averages in this game would suggest Texas is due for a weekend where it doesn't all go their way. They were 19-2 in conference play coming in. Like, they were due for a weekend like this. I think being humbled like this can actually serve as a positive and a benefit for them. Harrison, your thoughts on the weekend, what you saw from the Horns?
Yeah, absolutely agree. And you got to think, Chris, this was your first and biggest SEC series on the road against a ranked opponent. So, like, we knew that, like, hey, like, if there's an opportunity for it and when they're going to regress, it's in this situation against a desperate team in Arkansas to stop the bleeding, and a team that's so talented on both sides of the ball, like the Razorbacks are, to play in front of Woo Pig at home at Baum Walker. I mean, this was the most, I don't want to say obvious, but just the biggest situation for it to happen, because, like I said, they played Auburn at home, they played Georgia at home, they played LSU at home. So it makes sense, honestly, the timing. And you were big on the injuries. You know, at some point the injuries are going to pile up and it's going to affect you. It didn't happen last week, obviously, but I mean, I'm not worried about Texas at all.
I'm worried about the pitching staff. I got it, like, from a standpoint of, like, and I know it's one weekend, but man, like, when you're trying to win a national championship and you don't have your ace, we have a lot of time to talk about that, because we're going to talk at Texas a lot in the postseason and what have you. But I am nervous of the pitching staff. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's just like I said last week. Like, I don't know how long you can just depend on the same 5 or 6 arms and expect to ride.
That's the thing. It's
that
more so a depth question for me than it is a talent, because the talent's there. It's just, you know, guys that they've relying on the same 5, 6 guys, you know, 4 or 5 guys at the bullpen that, I mean, go up there and produce and shove and absolutely take care of business every single time. Max Grubbs, Dylan Fuentes, Jason Flores, Thomas Burns, you know, and then Ruger is going from the bullpen to the starting rotation. I mean, he's seamlessly made a transition, and obviously, you know, didn't have his best stuff in his start this time. And he goes 3 2/3, 7 hits, 9 earned, you know, but that's, I mean, he was, I don't want to say due to regress, but like, he was just shoving every time he started after going out of the bullpen. It was just like a crazy transition to do that. They timed it perfectly, I think, too, as well. But like I said, the depth's the one question for me out of, I think, length, maybe a little bit throughout the postseason on the starting pitching staff as a whole, losing, you know, Jared Spencer, your Friday night ace, but then kind of bullpen length and depth there. Because, I mean, how many times can you roll Dylan Valencia? You can't roll him out 3 games every single weekend, you know, every single postseason, you know, series and throughout the tournament. I mean, Max Grubbs can give you a lot of length too. So can Dylan, but like, you know, that's the thing I think's going to catch up to them the most, if anything, because we know how clutch this offense is, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Harrison, it was, you know, we were a week early on it with the Texas A&M calling Texas A&M to beat Texas. But, I mean, it's why I was willing to go back to the well again. I mean, first conference weekend on the road against a ranked opponent. And I know there were a lot of Texas fans. And I'm not even – I don't think we've really even been ones to, like, pick on the schedule. Listen, you've handled your business. I mean, it is notable that they've had a lot of these big series at home, but you've handled your business. I don't care. It's the SEC. But – again, their other road series had been Mississippi State, Missouri, and Kentucky. Like, and then you had Arkansas. Which of these is different than the others? Obviously, going to the Hog Pen was their stiffest test on the road, and
I think it was the timing too. The timing after
everything culminated.
Series at home.
Everything culminated. Like the stars aligned for something like this to happen. Now, Texas. Here's the beauty and the opportunity. You have the opportunity now to respond. You're going to come home next weekend, and that's what makes teams in the SEC, whether you're not good, average, good, great, elite, what separates you, I think, is how you respond to this league, because we said it, Harrison, everybody, and I mean everybody, is going to get punched in the face. Now, where we really, I think, should be spending our time on this conversation of the Arkansas-Texas series, and Harrison, this is going to sound like reactionary to a lot of people or an overreaction to one weekend, but I've been saying this for weeks, even when Arkansas lost 3 series in a row. Harrison, I think Arkansas is the best team in the SEC. Like, I think from a roster standpoint, they are the most complete team in the conference. Starting pitching, bullpen, the lineup 1 through 9, coaching. Like, I really believe they are the most complete team. Now, does that mean they won't go in the postseason, piss down their leg again like they normally do? I'm not saying that. But I do believe Arkansas is the most complete team. I was not surprised at all by what we saw over the weekend, even against the Texas team that had been so good. I think when Arkansas is clicking, and they showed over the weekend, they are the best team in the conference. I don't even think it's a discussion, really, to be honest with you.
No, I think definitely Arkansas is the most complete team in the SEC as well, just from a starting pitching staff, the length and depth and talent that they give you week in and week out, whether they have good starts, bad starts, or great starts. Everyone's gonna have their struggles throughout the season, but it's how you respond to those starts, how you get back on track, and then you add Gage Wood into the rotation as well. You throw Gabe Gakel back in the bullpen. He looks so much better in the bullpen, looks more comfortable, and just been able to, I feel like, lock in and just own that role. I mean, that he's been so comfortable with through his career. And then, you have this lineup that 1 through 9 can mash, can do damage no matter who's up, what situation they're up, or, who even comes up. I mean, it could be, anyone, right? It could be Reese Robinette, who has 2 home runs in game 3 against Texas. And, he hadn't hit a home run in over 2 years. It was late March of 2023 versus LSU. I mean, it's just like the guys that step up for them and the depth they have. Several teams have depth, but I think Arkansas has the highest ceiling of depth around the SEC right now. And, obviously Dave Van Horn's one of the best head coaches in college baseball, playing at Baum Walker. I mean, their record there, I mean, the proof's in the pudding there. I mean, it's in a hostile, a tough environment to play in front of, and they play so good in front of that fan base. And, as well as they're playing, they're going to be playing in front of them for a while in the postseason for sure too. And, it's just about, being hot at the right time, being healthy, and going on a run down in the postseason, because that's all that matters. It doesn't matter, if you beat this team early in the season, you won the SEC regular season. Cool. You won the SEC regular season, but everyone's, they want to win that last game of the year. That's the most important thing. And Arkansas has all the tools to do that, and all the talent and ability to do that. It's just about going there and executing, which they have an incredibly high ceiling to do so. And, I think it'd be one of the toughest teams in the postseason that has all the pieces to complete a monstrous postseason run, get back to Omaha, and cap off a championship that they are so desperate to have. And, they can beat you so many ways. And so there's a lot of upside and optimism for them. And Chris, I'll give you credit. You picked Arkansas to win the SEC regular season. Preseason, everyone was unanimously on Texas A&M. Neither one of us picked them. I picked LSU. You picked Arkansas. And honestly, both picks look really good. I mean, we're both in the top 3 of, conference games right now. But, I mean, I would commend you for that pick for sure. And I think LSU is just behind them depth-wise too. And, starting pitching ability, really good bullpen arms, really talented roster and bench too. But Arkansas definitely has the edge right now, and, proved it this weekend, sweeping Texas in Baum Walker.
And looking ahead, Harrison, we'll talk about it Thursday, obviously.
Guess who plays who?
Arkansas travels to the box.
Yep.
In what will be just pure cinema yet again in Baton Rouge.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I saw them about a month ago in person in Nashville when they took on Vandy, swept them. I said it then. Obviously, we'll say it again here. I almost hated how much I loved Arkansas and how much I felt like the Omahags. Like, it just felt like an Omaha club. And like I said, with them in the postseason, it will be a mental thing. That's all it will be. It will be.
Well, Chris, I mean, this offense is completely different than any other offense I've seen.
I agree. I agree.
Years.
I mean, we talked about it all off record. And I mean, I talked with one of the SEC's head coaches off record and I think even he said this on record. He felt like this is Dave Van Horn's best team that he's ever had at Arkansas. Like, think about that. That's a strong statement because they've had some incredible teams there. Yeah, I mean, I think this very well, we'll see. A lot of things have to go your way. Ball's got to bounce your way. Things have to happen at the right time. But this very well could be the team that I think brings Arkansas their first national championship. Like,
yeah, I think one thing is
club.
You got to think Arkansas really got to, Max Grubbs and Dylan Belantis. Who else has done that in the SEC?
Their lineup is so deep. I mean, it's you watch Arkansas, you're going to see a bunch of guys. You can go into a weekend with Arkansas and be like, I know about these top 3 or 4 guys, but like this weekend, you'd have been like, who's this guy? Who's that guy? How many people were talking about Justin Thomas Jr. going into the weekend? Like that was another one that had a big weekend. It's just they got so many guys that can beat you up and down that lineup.
Yeah, 24-game SEC start for the 6th time in program. The program at Baum Walker. You got to think about the talent they have, and you get to pass the baton from brother to brother. Wahia Aloy to Kahui Aloy. It's like, hey, either join the party or I'll step it up. I got your back right here. That just feels like the kind of 2-3 punch that they have. That's just so lethal on top of the SEC. And then you have Cam Kozel right behind him. And the rest of the guys in the line that can produce. Justin Thomas Jr. is a really good point to make there. It's just like he's batting 9th. It's the production he can give you out of the 9th hole. That's going to be such a key thing is just bottom third of the order production, I think, for any team in the SEC going through the postseason, because you got to have bullpen stoppers. And then, you can't rely just on 2, 3, 4 to give you offense production.
Latest SEC standings, Texas now sits 19-5 in conference play. Arkansas at 17-7. It feels like those two teams duking it out for the regular season title. LSU, Georgia right behind them at 15-9.
Chris, one more thing for Texas. I don't think it's like, it's like sell stock in Texas. Like, it's just like, they're not that good, right? Yeah, they played in front of a hostile environment at Baum Walker on the road. Perfect time, like we said, accumulation of everything. But they're still super talented. It was kind of bound to happen, just late in the season. This is the kind of thing that can happen. It's just, I think the lack of offensive production for them was more so the thing, but especially, those 2 guys, with Grubbs and Belantis, giving up, I think their worst outings of the season so far. But I'm not too concerned, but they played, I guess, a shell of themselves. They didn't have I think these are 2 or 3 of the worst losses, score wise that they've had. I know game 1 and game 3 were for sure this season, but it was still a fun series to watch, unless, obviously you're a Texas fan, but from an outside looking in, I thought it was a really fun series to watch. You got to see a lot of different things happen in a lot of different pieces. So, I think also for Texas, you got to see, some more guys throw a little bit, which I think is good for them down the road, possibly, but you never know. We'll see how Texas bounce back. I think it's going to be an important piece for them because, who do they have coming up? I think it's Missouri, and then
who does Texas have?
Yeah,
they got Florida at home this weekend.
Yeah, Florida at home, and then
at Oklahoma.
At Oklahoma, yeah.
So they've got a tough finish to the season. So there's an opportunity to bounce back, but certainly they will be tested. Again, this series can be summarized very simply in this way, Harrison. Texas was due, and they finally ran into an elite team on the road.
Yeah, and Arkansas was due too.
Arkansas was due too. So I will say this, though, before we move off it, because I said on social media last night, and I'll echo, and we'll talk about the top 25 later in the show, but I would have kept Texas at number 1. I think with if LSU had taken 2 or 3 at Texas A&M, I would have slid them to 1, but they didn't. 2 lost, 3 lost. Texas, guess what? They're still number 1 in the top 25. And listen, they've been the best team in the country up until this past weekend. Yes, they got swept. Yes, they got exposed a little bit, whatever. But I don't think there's anybody else I feel comfortable with right now after 1 weekend putting there. That being said, I'll go ahead and get out in front of this, Harrison, because my power rankings will drop later today here on this Monday. I got Arkansas number 1. I think they're the best team in the SEC, like I said. I really do feel like, and it's a big jump for them, but if Arkansas is playing their brand of baseball, if they're clicking, they are the best team in the conference. Like I said, top to bottom, pitching, bullpen, lineup, defense, coaching. I think they're the most well-rounded team. We'll see what they do in the postseason. Very well could piss down their leg. We've seen it before. But this is the best team in the SEC, and they really flexed their muscles over the weekend. So I was not surprised to see Texas stay at 1, but I think Arkansas.
It's like you said, the 2 of the top teams losing with,
Closing thoughts: Arkansas, Texas. What do you?
It's going to be a round tree circle. Like you and I talked before jumping on air today. about how, you know, Florida took a huge series from Arkansas. Arkansas takes a huge series from Texas, who was due, but now Florida travels to Texas for a huge series when Florida's, you know, streaking at the right time, winning games that they have to win. And I mean, it's coming down the wire in the SEC, I think, for so many different storylines and kind of for each team, but also the conference as a whole. And we're super excited to see it.